Hey everybody, welcome to Adam Makes Beer. My name's Adam, and today I am at the beautiful Little Miami Brewing Company. We are going to be covering all sorts of things. First of all, we're going to be brewing Hefeweizen. We're going to be talking about leveraging contract brewing to maximize profits, the importance of SOPs, building out the brew house that you want to work in, nuances of cleaning kegs, and more. Did I mention brewing Hefeweizen? Anyways, come on in. It's going to be a good time. Today's brew day is brought to you by my friends at Blickman Engineering. Starting a brewery is a big step. Blickman Engineering is there to help. Since 2006, they've equipped hundreds of nano breweries for success. Their new 3.5 barrel Pro Surface electric brewing system cuts maintenance and saves at least 30 minutes per brew with powerful under kettle heating. From 1 to 15 barrel brew houses to keg washers and grain mills, Blickman has what you need. Ready to go pro? Contact Phil or Tom at proseries@blickmanengineering.com. Got the mill going, ready to mash in, and you were saying before that this does like clicks, and so it'll actually be weighing in. And so how big is every step of that? What's the weight increment that it does that in?
Well, it's a very simple mechanism. If you're watching it, it's weight balanced. So
Okay.
there's a wheel in there, a catch that you'll see. It's almost like a four-sided deal. You see the bar going up, it flips. So the grain comes in, weighs it down, flips it into the mill. It goes. The grain comes in faster than our mill can take out. So we put about 120 pounds in, turn it off, let it catch up, turn it back on.
Nice.
So this is just an old grain elevator system. So instead of having scale-mounted apparatus, this was a cheap, easy way to do it. And we're brewing 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 7 barrels, so it's easy.
I've not seen that before. That's kind of slick. We're running from the mill. We have it augered up over here, and then we're going over to the far right tank over here, the mash tun.
Yep.
All augered in, nice and smooth. Love it.
So it gets conveyed twice. It gets conveyed into the building, into the mill, and then once milled and crushed, conveyed into the mash tun.
And what beer are we brewing today?
We are brewing our pterodactyl Hefeweizen, classic German style, southern German, Bavarian Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
Gold medal winning, I've brewed before at GABF.
Love it.
So it's a tried and true recipe and classic.
Is Hef one of your favorites?
Yeah, love Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as some of the classic German ones, what are your favorites?
Well, there's any smoked. I love smoked foods, smoked beers. So German smoked beers are really good. Dark German lagers are great.
Sure.
But the Hefeweizen is my favorite. When I discovered Hefeweizen, there's a brewery called Tabernash in Colorado. So they had their Hefeweizen, they had their Crystalweizen, which is filtered version. They had their Dunkelweizen, the dark Hefeweizen. Loved them all. So ever since then, just wanted to do German Hefeweizens.
Dunkel was always one of my favorites. Super approachable, and nice, complex, easy drinking.
So really nice, simple grain bill. You got your 2-row pale malt going in, and your white wheat. Sometimes we'll brew with Pilsen malt, depending on how authentic you want to get it. But the 2-row pale works just fine.
Yeah. How much? What's your wheat percentage? How high have you gone up on wheat on the system? Because I know every system handles different amounts
I've worked
of wheat.
on systems where you could go 50-50.
Yeah.
This system is not that. This is probably 20%.
Sure.
Maybe 25 on a good day.
Yeah.
It's just the way the mash tun's designed. You get stuck grain beds and efficiencies. This works. So,
Sure.
and you got the wheat malt in there for the wheat beer, but the true star of the Hefeweizen is the yeast.
Absolutely.
Where you get that banana clove-like experience from it. So the yeast is the star of the show.
Yeah. At Market Garden, I thought that the banana clove kind of profile, it wasn't booming. It wasn't 10 out of 10. I found them both very balanced and kind of like medium range as far as intensity. Everybody has their own personal preferences for like how that beer drank. What do you like with it? Do you really like to push the banana, push the clove, balance? What's your thing with that beer style?
I like the balance of it for sure. It needs to drink well and crushable. You want to have more than one.
Yeah.
You want to be able to have the difference between a true German Hefeweizen and American wheat beer.
Yes.
American wheat beer, you might get some of the wheat, the smoothness and the character of the wheat there, but it doesn't scream.
Yeah, it's
wheat
neutral.
beer.
Yeah.
Very neutral, super neutral. The German Hefeweizen is not neutral at all. It is. It should be in your face, into the sense that, hey, I'm drinking a Hefeweizen.
I always think one of the in general, so I love the way I approach brewing and recipe creation, fermentation. It's always about like trying to strike balance. For me personally, I like things to be approachable, and so I'm always interested in like residual sweetness in a beer. How much residual sweetness do you like to have in your hef?
I like most of my beers fairly dry. You don't want the cloyingness. You know, our goal is to sell beer.
Yes.
I like drinking beer, but we're running a business, and you want to have somebody come up and say, that was really good, I'll have another.
Yes.
You want to sell 2 or 3 or 4. You don't have one and say, well, that's too sweet for me, or too dry. You know, you want that drinkability.
Yeah.
And that's important in everything that we do. Now, some beer styles, you do want that punch, like an IPA. Some people are searching that hop bitterness. Sour beer. I love sour beers. Some people want that sourness. But those are very niche markets where when you have a big pub like we do and you're trying to please everybody, you're going to scare people. You want something for everybody. We have 16 beers on tap, so there's going to be something for everybody on the board. There's going to be super flavorful hop bombs out there. There's going to be sour beers, but they're going to be very middle of the road, amber, nut brown, pale ales that are suitable for everybody's palate. When we do our recipe formulation and our production on this, there are little secrets and steps that I do on this that I don't do on other beers.
Sure.
There are fermentation temperatures that we run higher that will facilitate the isoamyl acetate, the banana flavor. And there's also aeration properties where we don't aerate it as much as other beers. You're kind of starving the fermentation, which will actually blend toward the 4-vinyl glycanol, the cloviness, smokiness of a beer. So the tweaks that you can do that facilitate outcomes that we've learned over the years that, hey, this gives you more of the banana flavor, this gives you more of the cloviness.
I always think it's so interesting because this beer is so yeast dependent. And, you know, I remember when I was coming up home brewing, you're like, okay, I have mash temperature and I have fermentation temperature that I can manipulate, right? And then you start digging deeper and you realize things like oxygen, pitching rate, all these different things and how it really does have a very, very large impact, especially on a beer where the yeast is the star. And I do think hef is one of those beers where yeast is the star.
You got 4 ingredients in this beer. You got water, hops, yeast, barley. And everything brings flavor to the table, but the yeast really shows up on this one.
Sure.
And being able to manipulate the parameters for the fermentation. You know, fermentation, you get alcohol, CO2, and about 1,000 other flavor components, esters and fusel oils and all the other things that happen during fermentation. So it's a lot.
You mentioned before that in general, you like to have beers be a little bit drier. So and I know it'll be different stylistically, but out on the board out there, most of your beers are kind of finishing in what range as far as residual sweetness goes?
Typically, they ferment down to like a 2.5 Plato.
Yep.
On the drier side. You know, some beers that are like English barley wines or even you know, any bigger beers, IPAs that come in at an 18 Plato, they might be finishing at 4 Plato.
Sure.
So there is residual sweetness, but there's enough alcohol backbone to balance that out, and the hoppiness that sometimes you need that sweetness to balance that out.
Sure.
But we're never looking for sugar bombs. And so it's there for a reason, and without going into enzymes and doing all types of other things to get your fermentation all the way down.
Sure.
You know, it's a function of where you start and where you finish.
Yeah.
And you know.
And I always think it's interesting too to talk to people to find out like what their definition of things are. Like for me, saying beer's dry, I'm on the same page with you. That 2.5 range. Sometimes people say dry, and you know they're talking 3 or 4, or
Well,
some. Well, you know what I mean. So it's always interesting to get that scope with different people. You know.
One of the first things to do to create the sweetness or dryness is what we're doing right now. We're mashing in, and so the mash temperature of your conversion temperature of what we're doing. We're turning starch into sugar right now,
Sure.
but you're making different kinds of sugar. You're making fermentable sugars or unfermentable sugars. So if you mash it at a very high temperature, you're making sugar, but that yeast cannot eat that sugar because it has too many chains of proteins and polyphenols and all that in there. I like to mash in about 150, which is on the lower end of,
Sure.
you got alpha amylase, beta amylase,
Yeah.
beta amylase. We'll go up to 155 on certain barley wines and things like that. But typically, 148 to 150 is always our mash conversion temperature, which makes a lot more fermentable sugar.
Yep.
So when you have more fermentable sugar in the fermenter, that yeast has more food to eat. So you're going to get more alcohol, you're going to get a drier beer.
So we have a 7-barrel system. So in general, how much grain is going into like these 7-barrel batches, these normal like 5% beers that you have?
Today we're using 600 pounds.
Yep. Yep.
We're looking for about a 12.5, 13 Plato starting gravity. That'll ferment down to a 2 or maybe even a 1.5 depending on the yeast and the temperatures and all that. But the hefe's pretty dry.
Sure.
And it's a very active, higher temperature, which prompts more fermentation. So it'll be fermented in 3 days.
Yeah, it'll be rough.
Thoroughly fermented.
Does it usually blow off for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those that just loves to stay up in the on top of the beer.
High Kreuzen, high activity, high temperature, and a 7-barrel system. You don't get I maximize everything, so I'm filling fill heights as far as I can.
Yeah.
The 15-barrel fermenter probably has 17 barrels in there.
Yeah.
So there will be some blow off, and it is what it is.
Absolutely.
It's part of the process, and it's what we do. So
Nice.
Maximizing what we can.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we have our 2-row from our silo coming in. This is our base malt, getting hydrated with water, mixing before it falls into the mash tun. And then every few minutes you want to lift and stir the grain around so you get that consistent temperature. This style of mashing, you can get hot spots. So it might be very hot here and chill over there. So you want to mix it up. This system's so small, a lot of breweries will have a mechanical agitator that just stirs in there. We don't need that for this size system. And to me, this is almost like a homebrew system.
Sure.
From the systems I've worked on.
So you've been brewing for a while. You had mentioned before that you've been brewing since the mid-90s. So you've seen a fair share of different systems.
We've had 15-barrel, 30-barrel systems, had 15, 30, 60, 100-barrel fermenters and serving tanks and all that. So a lot of it was double, triple brewing.
Sure.
I guess the 30-barrel is my biggest system, and that might have an agitator. It might have it, which will assist in grain out also, so you hit a button and it kind of shovels the grain out into things.
Yes.
The 7-barrel system is so small, everything's extremely manual, but it's no big deal. We get the pre-milled wheat malt.
Okay, yeah.
That will be added later. So it's crushed, all that white part off the endosperm, that's
Sure.
the starch that we're going to turn into sugar. The grain we get from the silo is whole kernel, so we mill it. It's cheaper, better quality, like coffee beans. You want to probably use coffee whole bean and grind your own when you use it. Once you crack it open, things oxidize and change.
Sure.
This bag malt, we do that only because it's almost impossible to add to our mill.
Yes.
efficiently, safely, all that.
So how long does mashing typically take for a standard beer like this?
So this standard beers will be 25 minutes, half hour. I would like it faster, but we're kind of limited by the speed of our augers. Every brewery has their own space limitations, so this is what we had to do to make this work.
Yep.
It works great, just a little bit on the slow side, but
oh yeah,
20 minutes, 25 minutes, no big deal.
Let me get one more. Love it. It is one of my favorite things to see different equipment. This is one of the things that I love about getting into different breweries and checking things out. This is Portland Kettle Works, I believe. And it's just cool to see how different people lay things out. I love getting into spaces like this and just kind of seeing the efficient use of space in the layout here. Very, very cool. Kettle right over here. And yeah, so we're gonna keep rolling on this mash and yeah, make a beer. You were mentioning before that this was a place that you were able to build out yourself, and it is one of those situations where you need to be in different places, work with different equipment, different layouts to know what you want. So what were the kind of key elements when you were laying this place out? What did you have in mind for it?
This was a building that we were going to go into and retrofit. The owners of the land happened to be builders. So we agreed we're just going to tear the building down and build a suit. I had a clean slate, so I could do whatever I wanted to do was available to me. So
sure.
Okay, so I know what I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. Number one, have sloped floors. So everything will go to a central point, and you want to have a drain system that is, you look at some breweries and the cement and concrete's all eroded away from the chemical and the heat. We've been here 8 years and there's no degradation.
Yeah.
This is a new pour, so
yeah.
and then this is a $50,000 floor with a $50,000 drain system. Not everybody has that luxury.
Sure.
But if you don't do it right when you first start, you're going to be doing it every 3 or 4 years anyway. So it's going to be cheaper to spend the money up front. Do it right. So epoxy coating, sanded down so you have slip protection, like a 2.5, 3 degree slope to the floor. It's pretty massive, but it's less squeegeeing. Otherwise you're squeegeeing all day, which we do anyways, but clean as you go. So anytime you have chemical, beer, grain, you gotta clean it up. Clean as you go, and that just helps keep the brewery clean.
And the layout is all, I think you use the space very well. Everything's kind of laid out here. So you have Brewhouse, you have the grain out portion near, the garage door down there. You don't have to be dragging it all the way through, which is nice.
So originally they had the mash tun on this side with the door, the grain out door facing that way. I'm like, no. The exit is over there.
Sure.
Let's put our less steps, less slips, trips, and falls.
Yep.
Are the biggest thing in a brewery. So if you're not walking over drains and because the covers aren't always in, it's efficiency and safety. Mm-hmm. All those things. I talk about quality, safety, and efficiency. Safety being number one, quality number two, and then efficiency helps get that all done. But you need to be safe and clean first.
Absolutely. So what do you have cellar-wise here? Can you walk us through what size tanks you have?
Right, so knowing if I had to do it all over again, I would have more fermenters and less serving tanks. But that's based on your cold storage. I knew my cold storage was big, but I'd be sharing it with the kitchen. The 7-barrel system, we have a couple of 7-barrel fermenters, a couple 15-barrel fermenters, 21-barrel fermenter, so I can do 1 day, 2 day, 3 day batches of beer. Mm-hmm. And my serving tanks, so we ferment it, it's in the fermenters for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Whatever.
So you have is it 2 7s over there?
2 7s,
and then are they 2 15s?
2 15s. and a 21.
Okay. Okay.
And then we have two 15 servings and two 7-barrel servings, or bright tanks. They are hooked up to the bar, so the bartender can pour the beer and it's coming from the tank, or I could keg it and put it into my fridge and serve off kegs. So I can do either. What this does, when all my serving tanks or bright tanks are filled, those will hold 88 kegs. And I have another 88 or 100 kegs in my fridge. I'd have to have a walk-in twice as big. These are kind of counting as an additional storage, additional walk-in.
Are there brands that you prefer to have in here, like any really big sellers, or does this really anything go in there based on convenience?
No, it's based on sales.
Yeah.
We know what sells, what doesn't. We have 4 or 5 core beers that we always have. I want to have my hefe on all the time. Our Grateful IPA, big seller. And then the more niche or smaller beers, we'll do 7-barrel batches. But yeah, there is a rhyme and reason to what size we do. Now there'll be convenience or time constraints where I do have to do a smaller batch of one of our beers, knowing, hey, I just got to get it made so I don't run out, and I'll be doing another batch 1 week from now to back it up. Mm-hmm. Or vice versa, they'll be, hey, I have a tank open and my nut brown, my earth cookie nut brown might take a 7-barrel ideal, but I'm going to make a double batch because I know I won't be able to brew it for a while, and I'll have backup and reserve for it. But it's going to be too much and it might be in my way for a while.
Sure.
So there's drawbacks and compromises.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there is a system to it. We've got our chart on our tank there. It tells me I have a Magpie Amber, I have a Vanilla Stout, I have a Grateful. We're brewing Hefe today, and our Uno Mas, our Mexican lager, which is actually a true lager, which is going to take 4 or 5 weeks to make.
Sure.
I made a triple batch of it into my big tank because it takes so long. You want to have enough to wait out the next 5 or 6 week cycle to get the next batch.
Is that a big seller for you in here?
Huge. It's summer,
Yeah.
Basically, we have anything light and anything fruity sells. We're not Seattle, we're not San Diego, we're not Denver, where I could have 10 IPAs on.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work here.
Do you prefer that, being able to do the variety, though?
Yeah, that's why I came back to do this. I was in production and making the same 4 beers over and over and over again. Pub brewing, brew pub brewing lets you be creative and have fun. And I have 16 taps, and having 16 different beers on really lets that happen. So it gets back to the roots of home brewing and the roots of why you're doing this in the first place.
Sure. So this Mexican lager that you have in here, is it an adjunct beer? Is there adjunct in there? Corn, rice, anything like that?
Nope, it's just a 2-row.
Nice.
And a couple specialty grains and Mexican lager yeast.
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about the lager thing because it seems like it's popping up more and more. Are lagers a regular part of your rotation here?
Typically, no.
Yeah.
In the summer, the lagers, basically German-inspired beers, which I love. We'll do lagers. We have several different Hella style, light, medium. We haven't done the hippies in a while. Think about doing that. But they do take time and space. So again, you're running a business. So if your beers take 6 weeks to make versus 2, you're making 2/3 less beer that you can sell.
Yeah.
So that's why most breweries are ales, I would imagine, unless you have huge tanks and a big tank farm, which we don't. So the ales, you can turn around a lot faster, have more variety. But when we slow down, we're super busy in the summer. People like the light beers. They like the fruity beers in the summer. Come fall, winter, things start slowing down. We have more time to do some heartier lagers, some German Bock beers, bigger Helles beers. Yeah, then we'll do some. But it's logistics on what tank you have, keeping our customers happy, and keeping beer flowing.
Sure. All right, so we started up Vorlauf, and I can see kind of down on this panel right here, we've got our sight glass. The light from that side's not as nice as light from that side. Awesome. And then, with this being a Hefeweizen, you know, how clear is that going to run? Is that going to get as clear as like, you know, like your lager when you're recirculating it?
Well,
How does that go?
at this point of the game, we want to clarify it as clear as we can.
Yes.
So when you have all the grain dust, it's all protein and sugar and all the parts of the grain. The grain bed itself acts as a filter. So you're taking the liquid out of the bottom, running it to the top, and it filters through the grain bed. So it acts as a big filter. So the clearer it is, the better for a lot of flavor compounds down road.
Sure.
We'll get the cloudiness and the haziness from the yeast and unfiltered beer and all
Sure.
that. But so yeah, we want to clarify it, which is why we Vorlauf in the first place, is to filter out the particulates in it.
And we did. How long of a rest was this on? Was on you?
45-minute mash conversion.
Yep. And then how long does Vorlauf usually take?
We typically will do a 15-minute Vorlauf regardless. If it clears up before 15, we still do 15.
Sure.
So that gives you an extra 15 minutes of conversion time also. So we're not adding any heat or any sparge water yet.
Yep.
So if it hasn't converted yet, you're still getting that starch to sugar conversion.
Sure.
Usually after an hour, grains are so highly modified now that it's converted in an hour.
Yeah.
So if we're doing a Oktoberfest or a Märzen or German lager with a lot of Munich malt, we will test it. You know, you do your iodine test, make sure you got your conversion done.
Yeah.
Even then, an hour is usually sufficient.
Definitely.
Even with 100% Munich malt.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll do this for another 9 minutes, which will be an hour total, and then we'll start our sparge and our lauter into the kettle.
Nice.
Start separating the liquid from the grain.
So he's got a little, what would that be? It's like a U, and it runs right back along the sidewall. You can also see CIP spray ball there up in the middle. And yeah, we're just circulating that thing around, clearing that up. Might seem like kind of a random one, but just generally, do you kind of just like run one liquor to grist ratio, or does it change for different beers?
It changes on fill heights of our fermenters. So
Okay.
the 7-barrel fermenters, we're starting with 360 gallons of water.
Mm-hmm.
For our 15-barrel batch, we're doing 380 gallons. And then, depending on the total poundage of grain going in, we'll typically mash in with about half and half. Like today, we're doing 190 mash water and 190 sparge water. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it'll be 200 mash water and 160 or 180
Sure.
if we have a higher grain bill.
Yep.
You don't want to have, it's like the Goldilocks. You don't want too much or too little water. You want a 3-to-1 ratio of gallons versus poundage.
Yep.
So it kind of, we kind of go on the wetter side based on how our mash tun works.
Yep.
And if you go too much water, then you raise your pH. You have all these other factors that temperature-wise, pH, and
That's one of the things I was wondering, because when I was looking in there, it looked to be, you know, on the thinner side, you know, a little bit more liquid on top. So that's one of the things I was wondering. It is, I do think it's one of the things that sometimes folks don't understand or don't necessarily recognize is every system's going to want to handle things a little bit differently.
Yes.
You know, and you have to kind of find the happy spot with the particular equipment you're working with.
you have some mash tuns that you can do anything to it, and it's going to work. And then you have some mash tuns that are super finicky
Yes.
and only work with set parameters.
Yep.
We kind of know where we are with ours. Ours is on the decent side.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get, we buy 30,000 pounds of base malt or 2-row pale malt, and you have a different batch of grain. It comes from a different field, a different time of year. It's an agricultural product, so each batch is different. And then sometimes your lauter or your Vorlauf performance will change on the size of the barley kernel itself. You have more protein content, more moisture content. It all affects how the machine doesn't change. The machine is always the machine.
Yes.
What changes is the
raw material,
the agricultural part of it.
Yep.
And I don't have control over that.
Sure.
I'm not the farmer. I'm not growing it. I'm just buying it.
Yeah.
So I'm at the mercy of what comes delivered to me, and then you change and adapt to that.
Yeah. One thing I noticed from a process standpoint, so all the sight glasses have different marks. Your kettle has different marks. Hot liquor tank, different marks. And I know that we have a checklist, a laminated checklist that looks like this, and there's many, many other pages to that.
Yep.
I always think it's interesting to see how different people handle process. Just kind of talking about process and establishing those things. It seems like you put a lot, or have put a lot of time into that.
Yeah, so being consistent. When you're brewing beer to go out in the market, can, bottle, kegs, being consistent is super crucial. That the customer who buys the 6-pack this week and buys one a month later, it's the same beer. Because you build brand loyalty and all that. We, in our pub side of things, we have a little bit more freedom to change and adapt, and people want change. People want to change, try different things. That being said, I have standard operating procedures, SOPs, that I want made that are done every time, every brew, so every brewer, everybody's on the same page for safety, quality, consistency, and that we're doing things the right way. So we've gone through great lengths to come up with SOP charts for like today brewing. We have about 6 pages of steps that we do. Yeah. There might be 400 things that we do today for this one batch of beer.
Sure.
And each beer can be different, but for the most part, you're doing the same 400 things, maybe different temperatures or different amounts, but it's the same step.
Yeah.
And that way you can track it, you can change it, adapt. Brew sheets are the same thing. We do everything the same way every time. Mm-hmm. Every brew sheet is recorded and kept in a folder, and we also have digitized them, so we have them onto a spreadsheet and a searchable database.
Yep.
All these things that I would never do. I'm old school. I started before cell phones.
Yeah.
I started before everybody had a computer. So I'm very analog. I am very paper, pencil driven. All my young guys, they've grew up on computers. So Chris here, he's digitized my brew sheets for me.
Sure.
Sam, who's not here today, he was 20 years in the Army. And this is a second career for him. And so he is very regimented on checklists, and I've had checklists before, but I put him in charge of doing all the SOP sheets for, we got the brew days, we have filter days, we have tank cleaning, we have racking kegs out, so everything. So you could have a brand new guy day one come in, and before it would take months and months to hear me talk about everything.
Yeah.
Now they can open the book up and say, okay, I'm going to be cleaning a tank today. These are the 35 steps I need to do to make this tank clean today.
Yeah.
And, I might forget something. I might change my mind one day. This way, hey, I wrote it. If this is followed, I know it's done correctly.
Sure.
It's clean, it's safe, and it's ready to go, and easy to follow, track, and all of that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. A lot of times when we find ourselves in a situation where it's just us in the pub or just us in the brewery, it's easy to just do your thing, but it's when you have to start making a multiple of yourself. You have to start training people, bringing people in. You have to start getting those things down on paper, because one, it makes your life easier. I loved your checklist when you mentioned actually safety as the number one thing. That is something that, is important. And it's the foundation. Those SOPs, those expectations are the foundation of making sure those things actually happen. So that's very cool.
Yeah, there needs to be a culture of safety and quality that we're just not here winging it and party. It's beer. We're making beer.
Yeah.
But there is a system. There's a method to the madness. And like you said, if I'm here by myself, I've worked in places where it was just me, so
Yes.
I didn't have to have all of this.
Yes.
It was just whatever's in my
Yeah.
head. But when you're training people, and I can't be here every day.
Yes.
And
nor should you be here every day. That's the other
what
thing
happens
too. Yeah.
is if they come in and just start doing whatever, and something goes wrong, the owner or the customer is going to say, "You did this." Like, no, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
It all comes back to, so my reputation, personally, the reputation of the company, is on all of my guys, and I want them to do it the way that I know how to do it and how we do it here. So having all of that traceable, trackable is very important.
Absolutely.
That's too slow. Okay. So Adam, come up here.
Yeah, for sure.
Chris, I'll tell you faster or slower. So there's a lot of things in here that are empirical, and then there's, you have arts and science. So like I'm looking in here and my flow coming in is too slow. So Chris, let's open it a little faster. Now if I wanted to put a flow meter on my pipe so I could exactly tell you, hey, I need exactly 35 gallons a minute or whatever.
Sure.
That's a good speed right there. With me doing this for as long as I have, I know that speed coming in is going to be my perfect speed. I plan to have this filled boiling in about 45 minutes.
Nice.
And that speed will get me 45 minutes.
Yep. So you have a nice hop dam there. How does that typically work for you?
That works great.
Love it.
We boil it, add our hops, whirlpool it, spin it, so all the centrifugal force sends all the trube, which is the protein and the hops, to the center.
Yep.
And then as you are transferring that out, that hop plug, that big cookie, will start to expand.
Yes.
And then that gate keeps it from going into the fermenter.
Yep.
We want the hops and all that, but we don't want the hops into the fermenter when we're done boiling.
Absolutely. So you have your sparge going on over here in the mash tun, and you said, how hot do you usually run that sparge water coming into here?
So we typically will, our hot liquor is set at 180 in a tank. By the time it gets here, it's about 178. I know that typically you want about 172 to stop conversion. Anything much hotter than that, you start extracting tannins and things out of the grain husk. You see the husk floating on the surface there.
Yep.
We know that we were at 150.
Yep.
So by the time that the 178 and the 150 mingle and come together, I'm still about 172.
Sure.
By the time that we get all the water in there.
Nice.
Yep, you can turn the flame on.
So about a 45-minute lauter, and then this is always one of the things I'm a little curious about too. So how much work do you get over before you can turn your direct fire on?
When that gate gets covered, so we're about 3 or 4 inches off the bottom.
Yep.
Otherwise, you are going to be scorching and heat stressing your kettle.
Yes.
Because that direct fire is very hot.
Oh yeah.
Then you can crack the metal and create, you can ruin your $50,000 kettle you got here.
Yep.
We have a modulation control on our direct fire, so we can start at a lower temperature and work it up. The modulation feature just allows more air flow to the burners. So you're not adding more gas or less gas, it's the air that allows it to burn hotter or cooler.
Sure.
But once we get, so we just turn the flame on, it takes about a minute and a half for it to go through the safety features of the gas purging and allowing the machine to activate safely.
Sure.
So by the time that it's going to kick on any second, our gate's covered, we're good to go.
Nice.
We have sight tubes where you can visually see where we are theoretically, and then you have your eyeball to see that I am about 8 inches from my Vorlauf return. So if I have, I can see if the water level's creeping up on it or if it's going too fast and getting dry. You never want to have the dry top of the lauter.
Yeah.
So you always want to have a layer of water on it.
Isn't it interesting how you get used to the different little things, the different visuals?
Right. So I'm about 6 inches from the top of the grain bed.
Sure.
And as this goes, it's going to come down to about an inch above.
Yep.
I just want to make sure that I don't run it dry.
Yep.
And I can slice into the grain bed. I can feel that it's very soft.
Yep.
Which is great, which means the water is going to go through the grain and it's actually going to pull the sugar out that we created. If it's too tight, if it's like cement in there, the water is going to go around the sides. It's going to bypass the sugar, and all we're going to get is water.
Yep.
So you have a lower gravity.
Was there ever a learning curve with this vessel, with what you can and can't do with it? Because you've been brewing on it for 8 years now. Has it just always just kind of been plug and play, or has there been little things that you found along the way?
Always tweaks.
Yeah.
Right out of the box, I could do no wrong with how fast I was going.
Mm-hmm.
I've never slammed a grain bed in here. We started adding. We did an oatmeal stout with a high ratio of rolled oats.
Uh-huh.
And I think it even had some flaked rye in there.
Yeah.
My canoe paddle I was using, it was so thick I snapped it. I ran up the street to the RRT local outdoor store to get another paddle, and I broke that one. So I pulled out my trusty old Carlisle rafting guide stick.
Yeah.
And that's all I use now.
Yeah.
That stout became Paddle Buster Oatmeal Stout.
I believe. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I mean, rye. I think is a little bit underrated for the amount of viscosity that it brings to the table. Yeah, I do think it's an interesting tool on the recipe side. So, all right, cool, man.
Yep.
Sparging, lautering, and then we'll be kettle full in about 45 minutes.
Yep, and boiling about 55.
Awesome. Anything else up here for right now?
We're good right now. Well, we have to make sure that we don't outrun the boil. So if you go too slow, the kettle has a chance to catch up and get too hot, and you don't want to have the boilovers, which are the most dangerous things. Well, there are many dangerous things in the brewery, but the boilover is one of the most dangerous that we encounter. That's part of the speed, and part of the process is making sure you don't outrun it and modulating the flame until we're on max right now. And when we get kettle full, we're going to dial it down to a lower BTU, so we have a rolling boil without foaming it out.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to jump into this keg washer. We do have kettle full right now. We're going to be emptying spent grain here soon out of the mash lauter ton. But we are going to dip into and talk about this IDD Squire that they have. They both wash, sanitize, and fill kegs off of it. So let's check it out.
So it is tied into our drain system. We rarely we have the catch out for very long. I do that for certain things when we're draining. One day I had the brewing gods smile on me because I dropped my phone into the black hole of the drain, and it wedged just in the one spot where it should have gone down and been gone forever.
Yeah.
It wedged perfectly. That I don't know why or how, but karma.
Yeah.
Drain back in. So our IDD Squire keg is a workhorse for us. We're storing 88 kegs worth of beer in our bright / serving tanks, but we have 16 beers on tap. So we're every drop of beer from the fermenters go into the serving tanks, and then we're constantly getting them out into kegs so we can tap them and get the next batch in. So we are filling kegs every week, 40 or 50, 60 a week, just to keep up with our production. We'll manually hook up the portable pump and hoses, connect to our input that's soft piped to our machine. So
Sure.
it always stays there. So we're always hooking to here. We have our keg machine where you have a clean side and a fill side. So we'll just fill kegs here, take them into our machine. We're talking about trusting a machine on hitting a button and going. It's one of the most reliable machines I've ever used in my life. I love IDD. But there are things that I do differently where you have a cycle control based on a 15-second caustic cycle versus a 30-second cycle. So we have different SOPs and protocols for different types of kegs. We keep the keg collars on the keg so we know what beer was in the keg. So the filtered light beers, they get put on once through. I trust it.
Yep.
I have unfiltered beers like Hefeweizens and Belgian Whites and our IPAs. Anything unfiltered will actually go cycle 1 halfway through, hit stop, switch to cycle 2, and then hit start. So essentially we're cleaning them twice.
Sure.
Because I don't trust the machine to get them clean. I'd rather spend a little extra money on chemical and time
100%.
than to have a dirty keg. To put the clean beer that we work so hard to make into a dirty keg, it's not worth it to me. So I'd rather spend a little time making sure that everything is clean.
So you feel like with the non-filtered stuff, you're almost using that first cycle as a way to make sure you have all your soil out of the vessel.
Yep.
And then you're going back and then hitting that with a
Even
whole
though the
nother
machine
cycle.
does have a pre-rinse cycle.
Sure. I get it.
But when you have,
I love it.
And we sell a lot of fruit kegs here. We have blackberry, we have peach kegs, we have several fruit beers that we offer year round. We're using fruit puree, so we're using real fruit.
Yep.
So you have seeds and pulp, and if you inspect the side of a keg, you have your spear that has all kinds of nooks and crannies that material can hide and live in. So I'd much rather nuke it and be sure that it's clean than have strawberry seeds or whatever, coffee grounds stuck in a keg that your light beer goes into, and then why does my Pilsner taste like coffee? Whatever.
So does this machine have chemical vessels, or how is it rigged up?
We have a sanitizer and a caustic draw tubes.
I see. And so it'll then blend that with a water source.
Right. So I have cold water, hot water.
Yep.
So the cold water will draw the peracetic acid into it, and the hot water will draw the caustic. So it always gets rinsed with the peracetic acid, washed with the hot caustic, rinsed and purged with the peracetic acid. It's got a CO2, so all the kegs are filled with CO2 pressure. So your kegs are pressurized with CO2, not air. So whenever you put your good finished beer into a keg, you're not oxidizing it.
Sure. So does each one, do they get loaded here into the center portion where it's open and then it's filled on the floor here? Is that how it's rigged up to go?
Right, so if this was a keg, you tap it, put it upside down, hit start, that cleans it because you're essentially using that spear, the chemicals going up, hitting the ceiling, cascading down.
Yep.
What's nice about this is it has a low flow feature where instead of blasting the ceiling, it actually comes out barely, so it comes up and then trickles down the spear.
It's that spear. Love it.
And you're getting the stuff I'm concerned about, but I'm doing it twice on those. When it's clean, take it off, tap it upside right, hit start. That's filled. We stack another one on top of it. That way you're working smart because empty kegs are lighter than full kegs.
Yes.
And then we double stack them and move them into our fridge.
For sure. And I love that, and I think it's something that goes a little bit overlooked is you do need that low flow portion in order to hit that spear. Because sometimes we think, well, let's just get the chemical blast in there, everything will get clean. You need to get that coverage on that spear.
If you don't do that, you have blind spots.
Yes, 100%.
Shadows.
100%.
Certain I love top manways because you have way less of a shadow when you're cleaning it because the spray ball is spraying up and it's hitting it.
Yes.
You have a side manway. I only have one in here, but where the manway is, there's a well that some have them, some do not, but most of them have a well where the spray ball is not hitting it. So you have to manually go in there and take a green scrubby or whatever and manually scrub it.
Yes.
Otherwise, the spray ball is not going to clean it.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you are 99% clean and 1% dirty, that 1% is going to ruin the whole batch.
Yes.
So
yes.
you need to be 100%.
100%.
Same thing with the keg machine. So we have cold water, hot water coming to it, and it all gets purged with compressed air down the drain. So there's a drain hose that I have run around the perimeter of the building.
Oh, I see, and then runs.
And then it goes into a drain hole, which I have down about 8 feet down.
Yep.
So it's not shooting out.
Blasting, yeah.
And if you do see over here, I do put my hose onto here, so I'm running cold water into it.
Sure.
Because when I'm taking 30 kegs out of a tank, you always have the foam from when the keg fills. If you don't have that, foam comes out of the drain, and then you have beer and sugar all over the floor.
100%.
So that just prevents any extra. It cleans for me.
Yes.
So
Yes.
nothing's coming out, so I don't need to clean it later.
Yes.
And it all just goes down the drain.
That makes a lot of sense. I love it.
I always have a hour and 30-minute boil time.
Yep.
Different beers have different hop additions. Today we have 3 hop additions: 15 in, 30 in, 80 in.
Sure.
So you got your bitter, your flavor, and your aroma charges. Again, being a Hefeweizen, the hops are not the true star of the show, but you do need to have some bitterness to counteract, to balance the sweetness of any beer.
Yes.
Without hops, it would just be too sweet, regardless of dry or sweet beer.
Yeah.
But it's a moderately hopped beer. We got 3 pounds of hops going into a 7-barrel system.
Do you like to use something American, something German for that?
This is all noble hop.
Yep.
Typically, I prefer Tettnang.
Yep.
Tettnang. I can't get it right now.
Yeah.
So
What do you like about Tet?
It's the noble hop, the low alpha,
Yeah.
and the earthiness.
Yeah.
And when you are brewing a German beer, I like to try to be as authentic as I can.
Sure.
The Hallertau Mittelfrüh is what I'm using now, which is equally good.
Yep.
I can tell a difference in smelling the varieties in my hand, but when they're in the finished product, don't necessarily say, hey, that's Tettnang, that's Mittelfrüh.
Yeah.
But it's in the ballpark of, I could say, hey, that's a German hop, or that's not a German hop.
Certainly.
So we're at the point where we're shoveling grain, and we are watching our boil. I installed a mirror up there, so
I love it.
So I can visually see where I'm at.
I love it. And you said you do like to use a little bit of firm cap in that,
Firm
so
cap
kind of prevent that boil over.
Silica-based anti-foam agent.
The MBAA has that both good and horrible podcast that they release several times a year, it seems like, where that poor woman got burned. You know, there's a lot of things that can hurt you in the brewing space. That
So I know
boil
her,
over is...
I know her personally. It's
Oh, no kidding.
Terry Ferendorf.
Okay.
Okay.
What a horrible story.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
So she went on to form Pink Boots Society.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
That there was that connection. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, she was at. I think she's like one of the first female brewmasters in the country. She was at Steelhead Brewing in Oregon. Yeah, she turned her back to a boil, and you know, it's like napalm.
Yes.
That sugar water is sticky, so it gets onto you. You can't shake it off.
Yeah.
I mean, it burns the crap
And
out
it
of you.
holds heat.
And it holds heat, and if it goes down into your boots, well, then you're doubly screwed.
What a nightmare.
So she formed Pink Boot Society first of all, for advocating for women in the brewing industry, but also safety and burn protection.
Sure.
So we use the long wrap
Yes.
around. We use the firm cap because that's one of the most dangerous things that we have in here. So I'm going to go up there and stand next to it and start spraying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Helping Chris.
So that first bin's done. Typically they say they'll take about 3 bins in order to get this thing all the way grained out. It's not so much that they can't fill them up higher, but it's just easier to get them on the truck that way. They're using big recycling bins that they will line to help keep them waterproof. So we're graining out. We're going to be keeping an eye on this boil because we have our first hop edition coming up. And yeah, All right, what are we looking at?
This is our boil. This is where we want to have controlled chaos. The wheat beer has our barley, but it also has malted wheat, which has a higher protein content, which is why when you're looking at the junk floating in there, that is the protein hot breaking out, coagulating. So it kind of looks like egg drop soup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, egg drop soup is the protein in the eggs coming out, so that you get some chunkiness in there.
Sure.
Which is part of the troop. So when the hops go in and we're done boiling and we spin it, whirlpool it, we're going to concentrate all of that material into the center and pull out clear liquid on the side. When you see this controlled chaos in here, this is my firm cap. Just put a little squeeze in there, and that will knock the foam down. When we start adding hops, we're probably only using about 3 ounces of firm cap total. Mm-hmm. So it's a very little amount, and that stays in the trub pile when we're all done. But when you start adding hops into it, you have all these nucleation sites, so that's where the foam starts to come up.
Yeah, it always likes to pop off then.
Yep, and having that,
especially that first hop strike, it seems like you can really get that thing wanting to pop off on you.
This is about the only time that I take my glasses off. It's too steamy. I can't see. So I always have an eye on my boil.
Yep.
And then this being such a small mash tun, everything here is manual, shoveling it out.
Sure.
So I'm spraying it on the side, trying to knock it down so Chris can actually get a bite of the grain and pull it out. And there is a temperature probe on the back side here that we don't want to be whacking with our shovel and breaking that. So we'll need to hose out a way so he can see the probe and not
smash it
and not break it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, and you mentioned something briefly up here that mindfulness when you're up here is a big deal. Like in the brewery, and sometimes it seems like you even get trained to like the sounds, the smells, and just your awareness of what's going on around you is a really, really big deal when it comes to safety back here.
A brewer working long enough, you get the brewery ears.
Yes.
Like I could hear what cycle the keg machine's on just by the sound.
Yes.
Here, without seeing it. I know where he's at.
Yes.
I can hear air compressor kick on. I can hear the glycol machine kick on. All these little things that make a difference.
Well, and then there's always those little sounds like, it's almost like I'm allergic to the sound of water when I don't know where it's coming from or something like that.
What's that drip? What's that dripping noise?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, best case scenario, it's a drip. Worst case scenario, it's like, why is liquid pouring all over the place? What's happening here? That's cool. I like this mirror too. That's
nice.
That's a slick thing.
What's interesting about our kettle stack is when they installed it upside down.
Oh.
So this is built like shingles on a roof. So when water comes down, it goes over the next one and over the next one. Well, if it's upside down, all the condensate and all the steam is coming out. So we'd have towels and shit everywhere trying to stop them. It was just raining on us because it was. So if I finally had them get it in here and make it right.
Yeah.
So now we don't have any drippage, any weird water going everywhere, and it's the way it's supposed to, because the condensate goes up, and as it gets higher up there and gets vented out, it turns back to water, it comes back down, it catches in here. And if you see that black hose that we have on the floor.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's what's trailing out right there to the drain.
That is draining our condensate.
Yeah. So, I've worked with some different stack configurations. Some work, some don't. I had a condenser when I was first at Cartridge and no stack out, and it was the worst.
I had one of those at Watson Brothers, and it did not work. We were next to the airport, so we couldn't have anything coming off the top of the roof.
Yeah.
So we had the condensate vessel where you spray water into it.
Yes.
And it just never worked.
Yeah, well, nothing. All you're doing is pouring steam into the air.
Right. So the whole point of having a ripping good boil is to boil off volatiles that might be in the water, chlorine, fluoride, the DMS and the grain. So the stronger the boil you have, you get all those off flavors out of your beer. If that condensate comes back into your beer, it's still in your beer.
Yes.
So the quality of your beer is, this is day one, and if you start off compromised, you're going to taste all those things downstream from now.
Absolutely.
So we want to have the biggest boil we have, the cleanest boil, strive for perfection the day you make it, and then you ferment it. So every step of the process that you have a chance of contamination or messing something up. So that's why we are so anal on SOPs and doing things the same way every time.
Absolutely.
So there are no doubt to what we're doing.
Yeah, it's a process game, man.
Hop charge number 1 is going in.
And some Hollowtown Middle Brew.
Hollowtown Middle Brew.
Nice.
For me, in this kettle, it'll break apart, it'll foam up, it'll foam down. You get a second one. I then take the hose and I spray the sides of the kettle. I want the hops in the beer. I don't want it on the side of my kettle.
Sidewall. Yeah,
so we'll wait for that. It'll foam up, it'll come down, spray the hops back into the liquid. Yeah, so we have hops about 3 or 4 inches on the sidewall.
Yep.
Doing me no good there. They're back in the boil now.
I see some spunding valves. Is spunding something that you like to do with the beers?
Always.
At what point of fermentation do you like to get those onto the tank?
Usually day 3.
Mm-hmm.
You have 4 ingredients of beer: water, hops, yeast, barley. But if you are artificially carbonating your beers, that can be considered a 5th ingredient. With this Spunding, the Barbie-Cooner device, you're actually using the natural carbonation, the actual CO2 during fermentation to build pressure to naturally carbonate the beer.
Yeah.
And you have all kinds of thoughts on, is it better or worse or whatever. I think that you get smoother tasting beer with naturally carbonated beer. I think the artificial carbonation, running CO2 through a stone, it's a little harsher, bigger bubbles. With our process, we get our beers about 75% carbonated, and then we add CO2 at the end just to get up to my 2.5 volume of CO2. I don't go much above 2.5 on CO2.
Makes it hard on the draft system.
My draft system can't handle it, especially in the summer.
Yeah. How high do you like to let that pressure go up? Do you have a point that you usually like to take it up to?
On the pressure?
Yeah, on the valve, on the spunding valve.
Yeah, so most of these tanks are rated at 15 psi.
Yep.
With 1 bar, 14.7 psi. I regulate it between 12 and 13 psi.
For sure.
And they're not always super precise either. So if you have it set for where you think it's 12, it might be 13 and a half, it might be 10.
Yeah.
I'd rather err on the low side than have to depend on the PRV on top of the ferment.
Yeah, 100%.
But if you don't, then you're just stepping in it, tracking it everywhere.
Sure.
So again, this is why I love having really nice sloped floors.
Yeah.
Everything that I send and gonna rinse over there, we can squeegee to clean and scrape the floor and actually scrub it, but gravity works.
Yes, gravity does work.
Gravity works. It's your friend.
Absolutely.
Most of the time.
So hop addition 2 going in.
Yep.
And is this with a half hour left in the boil?
Half hour in.
Half hour in, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some brewers notate it left. I go in, so 15 in, 30 in, 80 in, flame off at 90.
For sure.
So Smell delicious. Love that smell of German noble hops.
Right?
Not too fast, not too slow. Shake the dust. Get ready for the flare up.
Sure.
Again, it'll rise and fall, come up, rinse.
That is cool that you have that mirror.
There it goes. Yep. You pretty much see that almost anywhere in the brewery.
Sure.
If I have beer in here souring, I can't do my normal clean cycle.
Sure.
So I'll actually use my mash tun as my brink and run it through the system. So it'll automatically see the caustic and the heat. And then I'll always do an acid cycle, acid bright, which is a phosphoric nitric blend to help pacify. All the tanks all the fermenters and serving tanks see mild passivation each cycle they're cleaned after every batch.
Sure.
Kettle gets caustic. This is the only vessel that sees caustic.
Yep.
My kegs and this see caustic. Everything else is Cellar Master, which is a non-caustic alkaline cleaner.
Do you feel as if you ever, is the caustic always enough to make this shine the way you want to, or do you ever have to use like a booster, like a, sometimes people will run like a, it's not parasitic, there's it's slipping my mind. You can put it on cuts too and it foams up.
Yeah, there's certain types
peroxide,
enzymes. Chlorinated products. No, I just use caustic on here.
Yep.
And then every once, if I want to make it super shiny, I will do an acid cycle on it.
Yep.
And interesting, sometimes, a lot of times, if I do my kettle sours, it's acidifying in the kettle for 3 days.
Yep.
I get done knocking out that day, clean it, and just that mild 3 pH. Shined up the whole kettle. So you're kind of getting like an acid cycle done with your kettle sours.
Sure. Okay, so we're getting ready to put yeast into tank 4 here. We're going to check out that process. It does look like the yeast pitch has been in sanitizer here for a little bit. This is a new pitch from White Labs, I believe.
White
Labs.
Let's
go ahead and watch the process.
WLP 300.
Nice. I see. So you just have that floating right in your sani that you harvested earlier.
I could put it down the drain or I could use it.
Sure.
You have residual liquid that's on the sidewall that will, again, gravity works. So there might be some sanitizer in the bottom, so I'm going to do the final drop. Always make sure you close that bottom valve. I've done it before. You know what I'm going to say.
I think we've all been there.
You put the yeast in and it just goes right down the drain. It's like, ah!
I don't think I've actually used one of those pouches yet.
This is the Pure Pitch pouch. It's a new and improved way of a safer, cleaner way that they deliver it.
Yeah, I think isn't that one of those things like where they say that it's actually like propped in the bag itself and then sealed? That's a cool thing.
And with this, you even have devices that you can actually screw on to the cap there and introduce it to your tank. I just do it old school funnel. But it's been resting in sanitizer, so I'm shaking off. It's okay to get some sanitizer in your tank, but I don't want a lot going in there. So make sure it's nice and liquidy, shaking off, going back in the clean bucket. Every connection, every time, all the time, gets a spray with sanitizer.
Is it a PAA style in the sanitizer bottle as well?
Star San.
Okay.
It's the Burco version, acid clean. Got a 90.
Hold that 90 out of sanitizer as well. Strapping that right on there.
verify my bottom is shut. It is.
Yeah, I think brewing will bring that out of you, the checking and double checking.
I don't even like to talk or breathe around there.
I hear
You know, I hold my breath a lot.
you.
All right, so that definitely always verify that you have the right yeast going in. If you have different bags, it smells like nice, viable yeast.
Yeah.
It's right from the lab, so I know it's viable and active.
I tell you what, it is good. I always do like, smelling different things because, like you said, it smells like good viable yeast because you do pick those things up over time. You know what I mean?
I'll even take a hit of this.
Sure, yeah.
It's super chalky tasting, but if you do it long enough, you know what you're tasting. It's right on, or there's something, I don't know about this one.
Yep.
Liquor tank is big enough. It's not. Go bigger. The bigger, the better.
Yeah.
It'll never be enough.
Well, and that is true. So what is 7-barrel system? How many barrels in the hot liquor? Is it a 15?
It's probably 15. Well,
yeah, it is never enough.
7-barrel is basically you're getting 210. So yeah, it's 14 barrels.
Yeah.
I would love to have a 20-barrel hot liquor on a 7-barrel system.
Yeah. I don't think people realize how much it powers the engine. You know what I mean?
People will say, save water, drink beer. People don't realize it takes 7 barrels of water to make 1 barrel of beer. I mean, it's like a 7-to-1 usage rate.
Sure.
So it's water intensive.
Yes. So your kettle full is what volume? What volume do you go into to start the kettle?
So we got to 10.2 barrels of kettle full. The 7-barrel system, and I'm 10 barrels in. I can't get much higher without being super dangerous, boiling over.
Yeah.
So I realized 10.2 is about the most I can do. I also realized that if I went higher than 10.2, it won't fit into my.
Yes.
So you have limits on the kettle and you have limits in the fermenter. So if I'm doing a 1-day batch into fermenter 1, which is a 7-barrel fermenter, I know if I start at 9.2, have a really good boil off about a barrel, so I end up with 8 barrels.
Yep, that was my next question.
So that 8 barrels, 8.2 barrels will fit into a 7-barrel system. If I have a good fermentation, I'll get some color in my blow-off bucket. If I have a really good fermentation, I'll have beer coming out.
Yeah.
So we'll have firm cap and a larger blow-off bucket to catch it. Same thing with the 15-barrel fermenters. If I do 2 days of 10.2 fill, then we're gonna probably end up with like a 9.4, 9.5 barrel total that will go into the fermenter. Any more than that, it's not going to fit. So there's no sense of trying to maximize the kettle any further than 10.2. It just won't fit.
Yes.
Then you're wasting it. So I know I'm right about here on my hot liquor. Like any good brewery probably has a hot water recapture from the heat exchanger. So we have a 2-stage heat exchanger, so we'll have city water going in cold, chills the beer down, so the water coming out is hot. We collect it into our hot liquor, so we get free hot water.
Yes.
And I know on a normal beer, they'll fill my tank all the way up. The hefe, since we're knocking out at a much higher temperature, I'm using less water, so I may fill that up a little bit higher, just so I have a full load of water.
Sure. All right, so we are getting ready, just about ready to knock this thing out. So we'll knock this out, get it in the fermenter. We'll take a look at getting oxygen on it. We already have yeast pitched in there, so we're ready to roll there. We ran whirlpool for 15 minutes, rest for 15 minutes, and then we're going to be ready to cool this thing down. We are going to be doing a bit of a trube purge before we start sending wort to the heat exchanger, so we don't kind of throw a plug of trube through there and, you know, nastying up the front end of that heat exchanger. So we'll be doing that, and then we'll be going to the fermenter.
I sprayed that already. I have my fitting in sanitizer.
Yep. And I saw you had that capped off as well.
I did, just so shit doesn't get in there.
Absolutely.
Open this up, verify that I have pressure.
And you have your closed loop here, which I like, because this was all set up during your CIP, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Love it.
After a knockout today during our clean cycle, we can open our stone and we allow caustic to flow out. Because that aeration stone is known to capture and trap all kinds of gunk.
Sure.
You get all the wort, the hops, trube, sugar out of it. So that's clean and sanitized every single time we use it, just like the heat exchanger.
Yep.
Blow off is off. We're good to go. So air's good, but we want to barely turn it on.
So they do have a two-stage heat exchanger, one where city water, usually the largest portion of the heat exchanger, is going to be fed with city water, and then kind of like a finisher, a closer, a little polishing from temperature knockdown from the glycol.
Let's just not even turn it on until, let's turn it on. And then once we do our double switch, we'll turn it off, let it reset, and then we'll get it going. We're at 71 degrees. That's with water at 100%.
Jim, tell me when to double switch.
I like to see wort come out here. Double switch.
Yeah, there you go. Love it.
Once you get some resistance going into it, it's going to slow down, so keep your eye on it. Right now, I don't even have the air on, just the air pockets in there. That's what we're seeing. So we're not even seeing our oxygenation. So now we're at 80.1. So let's walk over here.
Sure.
Careful with the hoses. 80 at knockout. Our water pressure is so terrible here that if somebody flushes the toilet or turns the water on, it robs horsepower from my heat exchanger, so that will spike up to 84, 85. So trying to maintain a consistent temperature is impossible here if we're open for business and people are using water somewhere else besides the brewery. The importance of having a big fat city water main in like a 2-inch main is really nice. 1-inch main into a brewery is pushing it.
For sure, for sure.
So we have our city water on 100%. We're going to need to add some glycol to that. I open my return 100%, and then I just crack the input, the inflow, and we should start seeing that come down. 78, 77. And I barely have it turned on. And that's what 27 degree glycol will do.
Sure.
Now that will warm up as we're exchanging heat.
Yes.
If I get knocked out at below 80, it's fine day one. The fermentation creates heat, so it will warm up and it will hit 80. And my set temperature on my fermenter will regulate it at 80. So we'll see how accurate this reading is. We'll see thermocoupler reads versus what the analog thermometer reads.
Yep.
And then we'll make our decision based on what we're reading, and we'll adjust accordingly.
Sure. At what point do you need to, will you turn the oxygen on for this?
To do what?
The O2.
Oh, we're going to do it right now. I'm just letting it...
Just stabilizing that temperature first?
We're pushing out any air pockets that might have been in the system.
Yep.
So now I'll have a more accurate visualization of what I have coming out.
That makes sense.
With here, most brews, you have a constant stream of aeration going through. This is the only time in the brew that you actually want to add O2. Everything else is CO2 environment. And with this, I'm just looking for like a puff, 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 which is very hard to get on this system here. Now I can see I got this little puffs going.
Sure.
It's almost hard to see unless you train your eye, you can see it and all that. But
And this is a lower rate than normally you'd be running at?
way lower. This
For sure.
I mean, we're basically starving the yeast with oxygen.
Yeah.
And for me, I find that gives me a whole lot more banana,
Yep.
isoamyl acetate
Yeah.
nose to the beer.
Yeah.
So the higher temperature gives you more of the cloviness. This gives me the banana character.
Yep.
And it'll ferment at 80 for 2 days, then I lower it down to 70 and let it ride out at 68, 7.
Yep.
You know, and then all my beers I crash fairly slow.
Sure.
Let it ride out, diacetyl rest, and then take it down. So
Absolutely. Jim mentioned before that they have some of their, big volume beers. Some of them are done on a contract basis, and I think it's a really smart thing for places that are having an issue meeting volume. So, man, can you tell me about that? Like what that process is like? How does that work? And then how has it worked out for Little Miami?
Well, it's worked out great for us and me personally, because if I had to brew my 2 biggest cellars volume-wise, I'd have 3 beers on tap, and
Sure.
I'd just be doing the same beer over and over and over again.
Sure.
This 7-barrel system is not a big system.
Yes.
It looks impressive, it looks big when you're looking around, but when you're going through 60 or 70 kegs a week in the summer, you can't make it fast enough.
Yes.
So, especially with 5 fermenters. So we partner with a local brewery that is my recipe, my ingredients. We go up there, we brew it. We take our clean kegs up there. We fill our kegs with the beer. And so we get supplemental capacity
Sure.
to keep up. And the brewery, they have much larger tanks, and they need to have beer flowing through the tank. So it's a win-win for each other.
Absolutely.
In the summer, when we are really busy, they slow down a little bit, so it helps them out. And
Sure.
then in the winter, when we slow down, they get busier. So the timing of it works really well.
Yeah.
And there's a very mutual beneficiary agreement deal that it's beneficial to both of us.
Can you explain what makes the economics work on it?
Yeah, they're my 2 lightest beers. So it's a small amount of base malt going in and a small amount of hops going in. If I was brewing a big double IPA, that wouldn't make sense. There's too much grain. Hops are $20 a pound. On a big system like that, you're looking at $5,000 in hops. And we don't need that. We don't sell that much beer that fast of that style. So the cheaper beers to make, which have less specialty malt, less hops in it, it makes it efficient for both of us. So I'm getting what I need, and I can focus on doing fun, high-end beers here that take more time or are more expensive, but I'm making on the smaller side.
Yeah. And pouring that in-house, it's a game changer margin-wise compared to cans going out to distro. You're getting the highest margin you can by having those kegs come back in sold at full price in-house.
Yeah, and it's one of those things we've worked out where I provide keg collars, keg caps. I'm using my kegs. I buy the hops and then take them the hops.
Sure.
So I'm not getting upcharged on no third person retailers in there.
Yeah.
So it's a very efficient way to do that. It's hard to find deals like that.
Sure.
But it just so happened that they needed growth and needed capacity, and we had the perfect needs for each other. So,
that's awesome.
I've contract brewed for other people at other breweries, And yeah, and you're charging. I mean, you're trying to run a business and make money, so there's a certain fees for it and all that.
Absolutely.
But that's the great thing about the brewing community. You find like-minded people and businesses that can actually benefit from each other, and you got each other's back.
Definitely.
And it's kind of rare to find in other businesses out there. So
Yeah.
it's worked out really well.
So we're just about done knocking this thing out.
You can see the cookies holding together pretty well.
Oh yeah. And that dam works pretty well. I
Yeah.
don't know if you can quite see it on my... Oh, there it is, right over here along the outer edge. There's that dam going around over there that kind of prevents that trube pile from going in there. You do get a nice cone in there, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You'll be able to run that right down.
We're getting close, yeah.
Heck yeah. All right, everybody. So the guys are going to be cleaning up right now. Just a huge thanks to Jim and the whole team here at Little Miami. I had an absolute blast brewing with them today. As always, check out my fantastic sponsor, Blickman, for all of your brewery equipment needs. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later. Bye.